Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, and it is just wonderful to have you along for the ride after a weekend that featured Kevin Patullo showing some of his cards when it came to the offense, and the Phillies take 2 of 3 from the Yankees and fail to complete the sweep in a very frustrating fashion. Yesterday's game, it's like I'd rather the Phillies lose like 10-1 or something like that. But a one-run ball game where Otto Kemp hits 2 home runs in that game, and Zach Wheeler starts it, but Zach Wheeler disappoints. All 4 runs coming in that second inning where he hit back-to-back batters. That wasn't fun. It's more frustrating when they lose a close game and fail to complete the sweep, especially when it's at Yankee Stadium against the New York Yankees. That's rough. That's a tough pill to swallow, unfortunately. But they go to the Chicago White Sox to start a 3-game series today, tomorrow, and Wednesday are those games. They have off on Thursday, trade deadline day, and then they come home. The White Sox are a very bad baseball team, and if the Phillies want to stack wins, that's a good team to stack those wins against. So there's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. As long as, they don't do the horrible thing of playing down to their opponent, they should be pretty set. But all in all, it was a nice little weekend there, including the movie Happy Gilmore 2 coming out, which you're damn right we're going to talk about a little bit later in the program. But first and foremost, I want to talk about those Philadelphia Eagles and what went down over the weekend when it came to Kevin Patullo's first press conference of training camp. There were a couple of things that he dropped, nice little nuggets. One had to do with Jalen Hurts, and I've talked a lot about how I want Jalen Hurts to take another step forward when it comes to kind of being more in command and control of this offense. Play calls, play designs, game plan. I want to see. I want to know that Jalen Hurts has more to do with that than he has in previous years. I have likened it to Cam Jurgens taking over for Jason Kelce, and then in that same fell swoop, Jalen Hurts taking over more of protection calls, reading the defense, and all that stuff. Taking on more responsibility with that. I wanted to do the same thing this year. And Kevin Patullo gave us our second nugget of this training camp already about Jalen Hurts having more control in that facet. So we'll talk about that. Also, the word up-tempo. I think there's really 2 things that are going to raise people's eyebrows when they read or hear, and we're going to play it on today's show, from Kevin Patullo about what he wants to do with this offense. In essence, as the offensive coordinator, his offense. And those 2 words, one is up-tempo. Up-tempo is what he wants to see from this offense. Some people might jump right to the Patriots, where they led the league in plays with like 92 plays a game. So I don't know, something ridiculous like that. They'll obviously think of Chip Kelly, up-tempo offense, fast. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again, like we saw in the first half of the Washington game with Chip Kelly. I don't think we're going to see anything like that. But I love the idea of going up-tempo. And it's the first thing I heard from Kevin Patullo that made me go, that might be his wrinkle. Throw little wrinkles into the Eagles offense. Up-tempo could be one of them. The second one, and it was just more about A.J. Dillon than anything, but he's definitely impressed with what A.J. Dillon's done so far in camp, all 3-4 days of it. Today will be pads, by the way. And he said, he's just a big guy who could catch the ball out of the backfield. And yes, he has caught some passes, and he's got a history of doing that in the league and all that. And he also talked about how you can get a guy involved like that. And I don't remember Shane Steichen really going into it, at least not with that kind of excitement about specifically a particular player. But Kevin Patullo, over the weekend, talked about A.J. Dillon in the passing game more than anything. And I mean, this is the time of year, folks, where we break out the joy of the Eagles potentially entertaining the screen game out of the backfield, because I know we've been begging for it since the days of Brian Westbrook and even since the days of LaShawn McCoy for this Eagles offense to invoke that screen game again. Good old-fashioned screen, not the tight end screen, not the bubble screen, but that good old-fashioned running back screen where, quarterback acts like he's going to get sacked, retreats drastically, and then a little flick pass, a little dump off to your running back, in this case, A.J. Dillon, as he takes it, to the end zone, of course, always, because that's how screen passes work. And also Saquon Barkley can do that as well. But if you're doing it with AJ, why wouldn't you do it with Saquon as well? That's another wrinkle Kevin Patullo got into yesterday, over the weekend, excuse me. So yeah, I liked what I heard from him. I liked pretty much what I heard from just about everybody. Sidney Brown competing for the safety spot, talked about being healthy and how good it is to come to this camp healthy and ready to go and fire and fight for a job. That's great. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. talked about calling the defense, how he's getting those reps. Jihad Campbell, great to hear from him for the first time in training camp, just coming along. He described as limited, but will be in pads today, which is a great thing, obviously. And A.J. Dillon talking about exactly what Kevin Patullo was talking about in terms of just being used in the passing game for the Eagles. And whenever they need to spell Saquon Barkley, you can have a guy like A.J. Dillon take care of that football for him. So a lot of good things came out of training camp so far. But the number one thing I want to get into here is that quote from Kevin Patullo. And this is from yesterday, or excuse me, over the weekend, of Jalen Hurts and his involvement and maturation process in the offense, especially now that KP is the offensive coordinator.
I think his comfort levels increased so much. Like I said, our quarterback meetings have been so good. The dialogue between him, myself, and Scott and everybody in there with all the quarterbacks, and the understanding of what we want to do and how to push it and change and maybe do some different things, to where as he gets more comfortable, his suggestions are obviously well taken too, to where I feel like as a team we can put things together and, you know, give him a chance to do what he wants to do at times. But I think really it just comes down to just being able to adjust. I think he sees the game really well now, to where when he comes off the field, even in between series in practice, he's able to see it and say like, hey, it was this, this, and this. And so it's really improved.
It really improved his game. Really improved his overall, knowledge of the offense as his career has progressed, obviously. And I realized that in listening to Kevin Patullo yesterday, recently, over the weekend. Good God, Farzad. In listening to Kevin Patullo over the weekend, I realized that I don't want to take the same approach as a lot of other people. It's an in-house hire. It's someone that Nick Sirianni has known for a long time, someone that Nick Sirianni has worked with for a long time. It's someone that is clearly going to come in here and be, for lack of a better term, a lapdog to Nick Sirianni, whatever Nick Sirianni wants to do. I don't want to paint that picture. And I don't feel like I don't feel like I've painted that picture, but I know a lot of people that's the way they feel about it. But if Kevin Patullo is, I feel if he's smart enough to look at a guy like Jalen Hurts and be like, oh, I'm going to listen to what he has to say, because now he's been, starting quarterback in the NFL for going into his 5th year as a starter. I'm going to listen to what he has to say. He's worked with other play callers. He knows what to do. I have a pretty nice weapon with him as my quarterback, not to mention all the other weapons in the arsenal around this offense. I'm going to, do a lot of listening, and I'm going to be assertive when I need to be assertive. And hey, guys, by the way, I have a couple of ideas. What if we threw the ball to the running back every once in a while? What if, hear me out, we ran an up-tempo offense? I mean, just there's a couple of things we don't do too often. Just things that I think we should do a little bit more often as the offensive coordinator, as a play caller. Okay, you have my attention. Those are two things that I think could help, certainly. Those are two things that I will use the term again. Those are two things that would be nice little wrinkles in the Eagles offense. So I'm for it. I'm willing to give this guy a chance. I'm not automatically going to say, because it's an in-house hire, Brian, it's just like Brian Johnson from 2 years ago. I'm not going to go down that avenue. The other thing he got into yesterday was the final say on plays. When's Nick Sirianni going to call plays? When's he going to call plays? How is all this? This is gives you a little insight into how that goes down.
I mean, I've been a part of them for the last 4 years, so I kind of know when and how they're coming up. And, it's just kind of the flow of the game. Sometimes it's just situationally. Sometimes it's just a suggestion. And for the most part, it's worked pretty well.
Tight-lipped. Not a whole lot of information, but the system's not changing. whatever they did with Kellen Moore, it looks like they're going to do with Kevin Patullo. So, all right, have at it as far as I'm concerned. The other thing is the tempo as far as being a little different thing the Eagles could do in this offense.
Yeah, I think in general, when you can push the tempo, right, as an offense, now you put the defense in stress, right? So that's something we want to continue to do and just kind of operate faster. I think that's something that can help everybody. It gives us more time to see things and just operate with more efficiency.
How about the
efficiency, tempo, Chip Kelly buzzwords? Oh, my goodness gracious. Look, if he was selling something yesterday, I was buying. Look, I don't mean to paint him as like he's going to be some genius offensive coordinator or anything, but maybe the Eagles made the right decision in this hire. Maybe they made the right decision. Maybe it was really hard to make a bad decision with this hire. But either way, I think they made a good decision with this hire. And that's not just going into yesterday or watching, him talk at training camp. That's just the way everybody else is talking about him. They're going not necessarily Micah Parsons, Jalix Hunt, but they're just saying that the guy's got command. He looks like he is very comfortable in the role already. And one thing that did raise my eyebrows in a not a positive way was when he was asked about, like, hey, you've been working to this point, probably, to be an offensive coordinator and play caller. And what's camp been like for you for the first couple days in this new role? Not much different. Really? Not much different. The offensive coordinator and play caller for a coach that, yes, is offensive minded, comes from an offensive world, but doesn't generally call plays. Crunch time, he might call plays. He might suggest a play. It's not much different. Huh. Okay. Fascinating. I would feel like it's a lot different, being that you're the guy calling the offense. Maybe it'll be a little different today in pads. Maybe it'll be a little bit different on game day in a preseason game. Maybe that'll be different. But right now, not that different. I found that to be rather interesting. He said the main thing that is different of all the things, not when he said not that different, there are some things that are different. The one thing that he said was different was, and I was reminded of Nick Sirianni when he said this. He said he's in a lot more meetings now. Like, bounce around and going to different meetings at the wide receivers room, running backs room, offensive line room. Big on communication, which is obviously key when you talk about success of any relationship. Overall, it just continues to sound like a good week of practice. Continues to sound like a good first couple days of training camp. And these guys just seem like they're having a boatload of fun, whether it's the Micah Parsons comparison I mentioned, whether it's the all-pro vibe of Drew Makuba, according to A.J. Brown, whether it's talking about running a more up-tempo type offense, whether it's Jihad Campbell looking healthy and getting more and more healthy each and every day. Seems to be set. Also, as from a strategic standpoint, Jihad Campbell is practicing both inside and outside linebackers, so they're going to have him ready for that, which is great. I personally, if I have any dog in the fight when it comes to Jihad Campbell, one of the things I'd love to see from him is be a guy that, double-digit sacks for anybody is a nice number, but I would love to see him in more of a role of Hassan Reddick. I think he could crush in that type of role where you know who you have as your defensive coordinator. You're not dialing up blitzes as a guy to just be in the back of the quarterback's mind. Other than Jalen Carter, I'd love for Jihad Campbell to be that guy. Him and Nolan Smith. I remember Nolan Smith was called Little Haas, Little San, Little Haas, I think they called him. I'd love to see him take over that role too, but somebody that can just be that edge rusher, more so than a Josh Sweat, where the quarterback is like, all right, there's Jalen Carter. All right, where's Jihad Campbell? Where's Nolan Smith? Jalix Hunt. Where's Jalix Hunt? Those types of guys develop. Those guys develop into that type of guy that a quarterback's always thinking about. How much time am I going to have with this guy coming off the edge, passing down, and just already speed up that clock in their head. So those are guys that I'm looking at. Jihad Campbell's certainly one of them. And that's what I got out of yesterday. A couple of more tidbits in going over this. John Campbell just trusting his rehab process. Being where his feet are, just not taking anything for granted. Mental reps, very important for him at this point. Oh, Vic Fangio doesn't do any, quote, extra talking. That's what he said about his defensive coordinator. He said he loves him, learning from him, all that stuff. But Vic's an interesting guy, man. He doesn't do any of that extra talking. He's just very direct. You want to talk about efficiency with an offense and being up-tempo? Vic Fangio is efficient with his words. And I think that's exactly how we would expect Vic Fangio to be. Yeah, there you go. I hit everything from this was weird. Back to Patullo. He gets asked the question about how do you not monitor, but how do you make sure Jalen Hurts isn't running too much? How do you monitor when he is running, if it was the right thing to do? All that kind of, like, basically Jalen Hurts running. Is that a problem? That kind of question. And he said, it's all situational. One of the things I really liked is a lot of these things were situational. He wouldn't commit to one thing or another. It's all situational, which it is. So good for him for sticking to his guns there. But Hurts running the football, it's all situational. If he needs to make a play, he will. And then he went on to talking about working with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I'm like, wait, what? Huh? If Ryan Fitzpatrick needed to take off and get a first down and make a play for a first down, he'd make that play for the first down. Jalen Hurts, very good in terms of that decision-making as well. I was like, what? I would never expect, hey, tell me about Jalen Hurts. He's like, yeah, let me tell you about Ryan Fitzpatrick. What? Those are two quarterbacks I'd never put in the same. You know who Jalen Hurts reminds me of? That Ryan Fitzpatrick guy. That's who he reminds me of. Now, really, it's a quarterback that he had a lot of work with, so maybe that's definitely why it's on the forefront of his mind. It just hits the ears, hits the ears funny when I hear it like that. So a lot of good things. Look forward to what happens in padded practice today at Eagles camp as it continues. Let's get into your Philadelphia Phillies and weekend series with the Yankees. The Phillies offense red hot for 3 games, at least 8 runs in 3 games. They won 2 of those games. Those 2 games were the first 2 games against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Kyle Schwarber, just full-blown Schwarberian, 36 home runs of the season. Just absolutely going bananas in this series here against the Yankees. Taijuan Walker pitches good enough to win, and they did. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Ranger Suarez pitched good enough to win, and he did. And then Zach Wheeler. I don't know what he's doing, but in his last 2 starts, he's hit 4 guys. Yesterday, he hit 3. 2 of them were back-to-back in a 4-run second inning. That is very un-Zach Wheeler-like, as we all know. And it certainly, they were saying it on the broadcast, but in his last start and this start, he is definitely just pulling his pitches like he's letting go a split second too late. And he hit 2 batters in the foot with a sweeper, and another was a sinker in the belt buckle. All inside, all left-handed hitters that he hit. Doesn't seem to have the best control. Don't know what's going on with him. Hopefully, it's just one of those things that he can shake off. And also, we're talking about 5 2/3, 4 runs. With this offense in that stadium, you should be able to score some runs. Unfortunately, the Phillies yesterday, the offense ran a litut thin. Yes, they had 3 solo home runs. Nick Castellanos got it started. And then Otto Kemp hit 2 solo home runs in this game, including one that put the Phillies up 2-0. And another one that put the Phillies, drew the Phillies to within 1 run. It was a 4-2 game. He hit the home run, a second off Carlos Rodon, and made it a 4-3 game. And then the Phillies offense was done, except for later in that inning. In that very same inning, this was beyond frustrating. Otto Kemp hits the home run, 434 feet to dead center field. Just crushed a fastball, middle of the plate. I think it was the second pitch of the at-bat. Edmundo Sosa gets an infield single off Rodon. Weston Wilson works a walk. That's fun for alliteration. First and second, nobody out. 1-run ball game. Phillies are scoring here, man. Philly, but as hot as the offense has been, Phillies are scoring here, man. At least 8 runs in those 3 straight games, they're scoring here. This is where they blow the doors open. First and second, no outs. Johan Rojas steps to the plate. Yeah, he was in the lineup yesterday. To say it was a butt attempt would be a lie, because he didn't. But to see that he wanted to bunt and did not bunt on the first pitch of this at bat is mind-numbing. Of all the times that you have Johan Rojas bunt, this wasn't one of them. First and second, no outs. Rojas at the plate. He slides his hand up the barrel of the bat like he's going to square around to bunt. He gets the perfect pitch to bunt. Fastball down in the zone. Yeah, little bunt. Runners first and second. All of a sudden, second and third. No, 1 out. Maybe with the speed, maybe he beats it out. Maybe it's a bad play by the infielders. But no. Instead, in that 5th inning, he goes down swinging. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it was looking. I think that's not good. Then Trey Turner grounds out to third. Okay. And then Kyle Schwarber hits a long fly ball, deep right center field. Back goes Cody Bellinger. Back to the wall. Raises up. Makes the catch. 3-run home run was right there for the taking. Phillies would have taken a 2-run lead, and it just wasn't meant to be in that 5th inning. Phillies were donezo after that. No, nothing. There was, by the way, a number of those plays, at least 3 in yesterday's game, where Cody Bellinger just made – look, they weren't home runs. It wasn't like he was robbing home runs, but it was just dying on the warning track or right at that wall, or right at the wall, and Cody Bellinger was right there to make the play. That happened at least 3 times yesterday in the game, and the Phillies that was kind of the moment, the 5th inning especially, that really took the wind out of the sails. But as those plays continue to happen with Cody Bellinger, I just went, they don't have it today. They just in a game that is started by Zach Wheeler and Otto Kemp hits you 2 home runs, you're going to lose that game? Man. By the way, Turner, Schwarber, Harper yesterday, for as hot as they've been, 0 for 12 yesterday. 0 for 12. Not a good day for your Philadelphia Phillies. Lose by a run, 4-3, fail to complete the sweep, and now they go to Chicago. Please, Chicago. Please, Chicago. Do us all a favor and just be the terrible baseball team that you've been and let the Phillies just walk all over you. That would make me feel a lot better about life if that's what they did. Here's hoping. Speaking of hope, this is the trade deadline week. This is the week of the trade deadline. Thursday is the MLB trade deadline. I feel like over the last couple of years, we've heard about these like big deadline acquisitions from Dave Dombrowski. Like Jeff Passan is a guy I've heard multiple times talk about how, well, you know, Dave Dombrowski is known for being aggressive at the deadline. It's like, really? Austin Hayes? That's what we're doing here? Okay. It's not that aggressive, but all right. I look at this year like this is a year where you got to get it right. Otherwise, you're going to be changing your manager at least. Maybe you're going to be changing your I doubt Dave Dombrowski is getting fired after this year, but you don't do it. You come up short again. Rob Thompson's definitely gone. And the trust factor with this Phillies team and this Phillies fan base, that's barely there now. Like, I think we all have trust issues when it comes to this Phillies squad. And I've rattled off the number of reasons why before, but you look at this fan base and this team, and it's like, okay, this is great now. Like, for instance, I was joking around in game 2 of this Yankee series about how, oh my God, they did it. They scored 12 runs in the first game. They scored 9 runs in the second game. This is amazing. They scored runs. They're winning. And yesterday, 3 home runs, but just nobody was on base. No crooked number home runs, unfortunately. So I look at this as something that Dave Dombrowski has to be a lot more aggressive with. One of the names out there is Eugenio Suarez. And he's been red hot. He's got 36 home runs in the season. Kyle Schwarber's got 36 home runs in the season. He's got a 247 batting average. He is right now at 319 on base percentage, and he strikes out a lot. And he plays third base. And he's a right-handed bat. The right-handed power bat from third base makes a hell of a lot of sense. He's been a DH. He's played extremely, I think he's been at first base once this year. So you're essentially looking at a third baseman or designated hitter. Kyle Schwarber in left field. I know yesterday in left field it was a chuckle fest in that first inning, but I would like to limit Kyle Schwarber in the outfield as much as possible. Eugenio Suarez comes here. You're probably looking at him taking over third, Bohm taking over first, and then Harper DH and left field maybe. I have been extremely hesitant about Bryce Harper being out in left field. If he's telling you already, and I know he's been hot, I know he's been great, and everything's great, and he feels fine. One bad throw could affect your lineup greatly. And this is a guy that's hitting better than, 257. This is a guy that's certainly getting on base more than 319. And Bryce Harper, does he have 36 home runs? No, he doesn't have 36 home runs. Got 15, as a matter of fact. So I'd very much like to have the bat of Suarez in the lineup, but it's not my number one choice. I feel like Suarez is a lot like Nick Castellanos, but with a lot of power, and that's all great. Phillies have a lot of guys that are free swingers. They have guys that'll strike out. Suarez is certainly that as well. I need someone that I can just feel like consistently is going to get on base and provide opportunities to put pressure on pitchers and provide opportunities to score runs. A top-of-the-order guy that's going to push this lineup down, meaning from Trey Turner to Steven Kwan, who I think would be the perfect fit for this. Now, he's not a right-handed bat, unfortunately. He's a left-handed bat. But you know that in the left field corner, you're going to have great defense. He's a Gold Glover. You're obviously going to have control contract-wise. I feel like you need somebody that's different. That's not the free swinger. That's going to have a good at bat with production. And I also don't think he's going to cost you as much as a Suarez, for instance. So I think the perfect fit for the Phillies is Steven Kwan. I'd like to see Dave Dombrowski pull the trigger on that move. As far as prospects go in any of the moves that are made, here's where I'm at on that. Like, we have to understand that similar to the Eagles, stay with me here. Similar to the Eagles, we have to get used to, oh, wow, they're paying a running back. Oh, my goodness, they're paying a defense, or they're paying a linebacker. This is wild. I'm not used to this. How do they move money around for this, It's very similar with the Phillies right now in that the Phillies, yes, every team needs prospects. But we have to get used to the fact that this is a very different ownership group than what we grew up with. John Middleton is the face of ownership, and that ownership group, with him being the managing partner, I believe is the term, with him being the managing partner, they spend money. So even if you don't have a prospect coming up, they'll pay somebody else to come here. And the Phillies, word's out, the Phillies will pay. So the prospect thing to me doesn't hit as it used to in terms of, you got to hold on to those prospects because I know the Phillies aren't going to pay a free agent. No, they're going to pay free agents now. So the prospect thing doesn't hit me as hard as it used to. Look, I don't want to move on from Justin Crawford. You might have to. I don't want to move on from Andrew Painter with all the hype and everything that surrounded him over his professional career since he was drafted. I don't want to just move on from him. Mick Abel's absolutely on the table. Aiden Miller's absolutely on the table. There's a couple of guys that would certainly sting if they moved on from them, but I'm good. If you're getting in a piece Even for the people that really want Suarez, you're getting in that power. It's hard to say no to that power, especially when, it's really difficult for this Phillies team to manufacture runs. You're going to need another free swinger in that lineup. Like yesterday, for instance, just one home run would have changed the whole outcome of that game. One more home run, a fourth home run would have changed the outcome of that game. The instant offense is quite alluring, especially when you can go through periods, and I'll bring it up again, of 5 home runs in a World Series game and then no hit the following day. Yeah, you're going to want a guy in that order. But I feel like you have a number of those guys that could swing for the fences. Kyle Schwarber's going to hit wherever you have him in the lineup. If that's leadoff, if that's second, if that's cleanup, he's going to hit. The fact that he's having an incredible July right now, you just hope he keeps that cooking into August. But I feel like right now this Phillies team needs a table setter. They need someone you can rely on to get on base in the top of the order, to be driven in by Harper, Schwarber, JT Realmuto, who is just swinging a real hot bat right now. That's the direction I'd like to see the Phillies get. More bullpen help, too. David Robertson can't be the end-all, be-all of your deadline acquisition. I don't give a damn if Jose Alvarado is coming back or not. You don't know what version of Jose Alvarado you're going to get back. So Dave Dombrowski has his work cut out for him over the next couple of games. Scouts are going to be in the stands over the next couple of games. Scouts have already been in the stands for minor league games as well. So everything's going down right now. 4 days. 4 more days of Dave Dombrowski being the most important person in Philadelphia sports. Can he get this team over the hump? Because look, he doesn't get this team over the hump. He doesn't make a significant move at the deadline. Then we're also talking about potentially the end being near with Kyle Schwarber. Now, there's 2 more things that I want to point out from this Yankee series as it pertains to the near future, and then one thing that I want to point out that it refers to yesterday's game in particular. Kyle Schwarber got interviewed Friday night, the Apple TV game. Kyle Schwarber got interviewed, and he got asked about staying here in Philadelphia, and the reporter asked him about Bryce Harper really taking up the cause to keep him in Philadelphia. And I thought, okay, Bryce wants him here. He's going to be here. Whatever he wants, John Middleton's going to pay that money. So I feel pretty confident about Kyle Schwarber sticking around. But it is going to make it a lot more difficult to stick around if Kyle Schwarber looks at this team and goes, yeah, but I'm just not going to win here. I love it. These guys are great. You can definitely tell he's like almost emotional now at this point when he's talking about the possibility of not coming back to Philadelphia, how much this clubhouse means to him. But that man's got to get paid. He's got to get paid. So when Bryce Harper takes up the cause, you know that the front office is going to have his back in terms of paying Kyle Schwarber. The other thing I didn't mention from this series, and I'm ashamed of it, is that play in the 3rd inning yesterday with JT Realmuto and Johan Rojas. Holy Stromboli. Rojas put the throw right on the line. Leadoff triple, Cody Bellinger, after Nick Castellanos came in a little too far. And Cody Bellinger's leadoff triple in that 3rd inning. Zach Wheeler strikes out Giancarlo Stanton, and then he gets Chisholm to fly out to center field. Rojas catches it, fires on a line, right on the perfect line, to JT Realmuto at home to get a tagging Cody Bellinger from 3rd. He sailed the throw, though. JT Realmuto, athlete extraordinaire, Air Muto, if you will, leaps up, high points the ball. What a catch radius. Brings it down with a swipe tag just to get Cody Bellinger on the ear before he was able to touch home plate and score. He's out. It was an incredible play. It would have been 5-3. Look, Phillies lost anyway, but still, just want to highlight that was an incredible play yesterday by the Phillies. Before I go into the chat check, I believe I was in 7th grade, 6th or 7th grade when Happy Gilmore came out. And it was hilarious. It was making fun of the sanctity that is the golf world. It was just Adam Sandler, hilarious. It was great. And then Saturday night, I set up the TV outside. Both my mother and father-in-law are over. My wife and I opened up a bottle of wine, and we sat outside on our patio and we watched Happy Gilmore 2. I don't believe in spoilers, and I'm not going to ruin anything for you. All I'm going to do is tell you that I enjoyed the hell out of Happy Gilmore 2. I thought it was fantastic. So many hat tips to things from Adam Sandler's career. So many hat tips to Happy Gilmore 1. It was great. I just really, really enjoyed it. Look, it's a let's acknowledge the world we're in. This is a dumb comedy. So there are things that I'll look at, like a couple things in the plot that I'll look at and be like, wouldn't have done that, but whatever. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's a movie that I'll watch again. Certainly. It's very enjoyable if you're of my generation and you'd really loved Happy Gilmore, the original Happy Gilmore, the OG, HG, if you will. This was just fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. So I really loved it. I'll definitely watch it again. And if you watch it, hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you liked it as well. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. You like the Game Time app? Want to go to the game? Want to go to the concert? Want to go to the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. And how about this? Game Time Picks feature. You can filter out all the fluff on the Game Time app. Get right down to it. The best seats, the best prices on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Sean Kilrain, good morning. Sean Kilrain, gotta love JT. Wow, yeah, it was a great play. As far as you see, this happening. John Heyman, Phillies best fit for infielder Eugenio Suarez. Right-handed power bat. Third base. Would be great. The thing that bothers me is a 319 on base percentage and someone who strikes out 170 to 200 times a year. That's what bothers me. I feel like if there's an all-in move, I feel like Suarez would be that move. I feel like Kwan is the safe bet. Like, okay, I know this makes everybody better. And you don't have a gaping hole in left field. Sean Kilray, Scott Lauber, the D-backs had scouts watching Mick Abel as triple A start. Yeah, Sean Kilray. I hate Kyle Schwarber in left field. I hate Kyle Schwarber in left field. I just feel like every shallow hit ball that has a chance to be caught is just a base hit. He doesn't have the arm for it, unfortunately. I know he's a former catcher. I know people bring that up. I just feel like it is such a, and I know we have dealt with problems in left field before with guys that don't exactly cover a lot of range. Pat Burrell being one of them. Oh my God. Love Pat the Bat, but not exactly a strong outfielder. He had a strong arm though. I will say that. And yesterday the Yankees exposed it as well. Their third run of the game was that sac fly by Wells to left field. Like that play, it was actually close at the plate. He would have been out with even a really good throw, not even a great throw. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It's like, yeah, you could win games, 7-6, a lot more with power in this lineup, more power in this lineup. I'm like, yeah, but that 6 run is coming from a botched play in left field. Rye, what's up, Rye? Buddy Christ, hello. Sean Cohen, Happy Gilmore 2. 74 cameo appearances. I think most people know that Slim Shady's in it. Yeah, that's fun. Philly Magic 365. Clase looked rough the other night. He gave up a 3-run home run, if I'm not mistaken. And I know that because my father-in-law mentioned it to me, the Guardians fan. And I'm like, good, that's one less prospect that the Phillies will have to give up. Philly Gridiron, hello. Good morning, Chad. And good morning, Farzi. Good morning, Philly Gridiron. Hello. At this point, Jalen's career, I don't think it matters who calls the plays. Now I think Coach Kevin is a suggester, not a caller. Oh, that's interesting. The suggester. I'm offensive suggester. It's nice to have you. Ken Saad, what's going on? Good morning. Good morning. God bless. Davis is primed for a breakout year, pay year, and Howie rather Davis than Dean, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. No, that makes sense. Happy April. Happy day. Happy morning, fam. Leon, what's going on? The most points we scored last season, Tyler Steen was at starting right guard. Road to repeat. There we go. April, that JT play was insane. It absolutely was. CM Punk, hi Farzi. Hi CM Punk. Nice to see you. Hey, I'll be back with you guys tonight on Locked On Phillies postcast. I'll also be back with you guys with Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey and I will kick around some Sixers topics today at 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll also be on Fox 29 coming up at 7:45 today. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend tonight, by the way. Your Phillies do start that series with the Chicago White Sox, Southsiders. 7:40 start time tonight. 7:40 start time tomorrow. Christopher Sanchez against Davis Martin tonight. Sanchez going for his 10th win of the season. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzetta. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow for the Farzy Show. Hopefully talking about a Phillies victory. See you guys then.